Hi, everybody. Welcome to Forte Connect. Today, we're going to talk about how technology can improve employee engagement while we're all working remotely. Our guest today is Mike Couvillion. Mike is the Chief Technology Officer at Kazoo. Mike, thanks for joining us. I hope I didn't butcher your last name.
No, you got it.
Great. Our regular guests are CJ Montano, Partner and Managing Director at Forte Group. Hi, CJ.
Hello, everyone.
And Kirsten Lang, Senior Account Executive for Strategic Partnerships. Hi, Kirsten.
Hello.
So, Mike, a lot of people are talking about employee engagement at the moment. It's pretty important with us working remotely. Tell us a little bit about your platform and maybe how are companies creating engagement with employees right now when we're all in separate working environments?
Sure. Well, Kazoo is an employee engagement platform and a performance management platform that combines the concepts, both of peer recognition and continuous performance management. Employees can use our platforms to recognize each other, and with that recognition along comes points. So, an employee can say, "Hey, thanks for helping me on that sales call. It really helped close the deal. Here's 200 points as a thank you." And that concept of peer-to-peer recognition, it's not just something coming from the boss down. It's not just an employee of the month. It's your coworkers recognizing your efforts. They can turn those points into items that they can purchase out of our catalog. We've got over 1 million items in that catalog, anything from gift cards to actual electronics and various things, even travel plans and vacation and events if you want to buy tickets to a concert, which hopefully those kinds of things will be getting more popular as we get back to normalcy. The continuous performance management aspect of the tool is tools for the managers to constantly communicate, particularly with the more modern workforce, differently than we've done in the past. The days of the quarterly review and the annual review are really starting to go away. It's how do you touch base with someone every week? How do you set their goals? How do you check in with them, provide them those feedbacks, take surveys of your team to find out how are they doing, what's their level of engagement. So it's just a platform with a collection of tools to make all of that easier.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's awesome, Mike. So one of the things that I've prescribed to in the past was this concept of catching people doing things right. And obviously a little spin on the traditional anecdote, but so this platform sounds like it gives the opportunity to do that. And oftentimes I find that in a leadership capacity, it's important that people won't continue to do things well if not recognized because they question whether there's value to those things. So the importance of recognition, I think, is more than just a feel-good thing. It also promotes sustainable practices around doing things the right way. And things that are valuable to the organization. So I love this concept.
Yeah, it's not really new. There have been multiple studies that have shown you get more out of positive reinforcement than you do negative. And this allows that positive reinforcement to come from the other people that you're working with every day. And a lot of times, even as a manager, as a boss in my company, sure, my job title gets me a certain level of respect, but the real work is done by those workers at the front end of the pointy end of the spear, as I call it. And when they're working together, that's where you get your true momentum. And tools like this is what really allows that to happen.
Mike, I had a question for you. Talking about recognition, what do we think our workspaces are going to look like, and what is our environment going to look like when things start to slowly open up? I'd like to get your thoughts on what the new normal for office environments may be.
Yeah, it's a topic we've been talking about even within our own company, is how do we start getting back to the office in the short term, and who knows how long short term is, but the reality is there are certain rules that are in place. You have to maintain certain distancing in an office. Some states, and we have offices in 2 states right now, where you have to take people's temperature before they're allowed in the building. They must wear masks. If you're in a building that you share with other companies, how are you doing those interactions in common areas? all of that has to be factored in. So for employees, making sure that you clearly communicate to them that it's not going to be what it was like before, at least not in the initial return to the office. Everyone won't be there. You're going to have to stage who can come into the office at what times. I know for my engineers, they love to get into a conference room and start drawing on the whiteboard when you're brainstorming a solution. That's not going to happen now. You can't put 10 people in a small conference room anymore. You have to figure that kind of stuff out. So it's going to be different, but people will adapt and they'll start to adjust to it as well. I think a lot of people are really learning about, do we actually have to have a meeting, or could this have been an email? If we're just exchanging information, we live in an age where the ability to transfer information from one party to another is huge. If you're not an expert in using tools like Slack or Teams, you better become one, because that is going to be a tool going forward. I think businesses are also going to be looking at, do I actually need all my employees back in the office every day? I think a lot of eyes have been opened to, hey, productivity really hasn't been hit that much by people working from home. And that's going to become another, I think businesses in America being the way they are, that's going to become an asset.
Yeah, and talking about the employee engagement and using those tools such as Slack and Teams, are there any features of your Kazoo platform that that may also contribute to employee engagement?
Yeah, it's essentially it is a communication tool. We integrate with both Teams and Slack as well, so that if I send a recognition to an employee, it shows up in those channels. So there's integration levels there. But the tool itself has kind of what we call our activity feed. When you log into it, you see all of the people who have been recognizing different things. We also tie behavior bonuses to some of those things. So if you had a one-on-one meeting with someone for a coffee date where you're just learning about their personal lives to increase that connection beyond just work, we'll give you 100 points for doing that. And you see that, and other employees can say, oh, okay, there's something I hadn't thought about doing. An anecdote that we had from a CEO client of ours where the tool really came in for me. He ran a fitness studio chain, and their business has been hard hit by this because you can't open gyms just yet. And he was saying, he goes, I was literally on the floor curled up in a ball wondering, like, how am I going to get my business back off the ground? And suddenly I heard the chime, and I looked up, and one of my employees had given me a high five for, some small thing that he had done. And he was like, that gave me so much hope at that moment. It was a simple thing. And then a few minutes later, I got another one. And then I got up and said, well, I need to do that for my folks too, and recognize that they're still doing things. And he goes, and then the mindset just changed. So having tools, just that reaching out and being able to communicate in some manner and recognize people for either acknowledging what they're going through or thanking them for something that they've done well, just provides a something that's missing that you get when you have that close interaction of working in an office together.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. It sounds like a really exciting platform to use. CJ, do you have anything to add about strategies or tips for keeping teams engaged?
Well, I think by Kazoo, for starters. I think that's an interesting take on it. Everybody's using, the Teams or Skype or Chat or Slack or whatever it is. One of the things that we're doing that helps keep people engaged is that you don't get from because you're not in the office is create channels that are not work related. And I don't mean like just goof off channels or things like that, but we have a few channels in ours. One is just Chicago office talks. We have another one that's just random thoughts, things like that. And you'd be surprised at how many people come in there and it's just sort of a relief mechanism, or sometimes it even leads to ideas. They say, hey, I looked into this cool thing today and you guys should check it out. And there's no expectation on it. It's just sharing of information. So try to recreate some of those moments that would naturally come in the office by setting expectation, leaders setting expectation that it's okay that, some of your conversations within chat rooms is informal and non-work related. We've obviously seen the happy hour emerge, the virtual happy hour emerge, things like that. I think those are all very, very important to keep in people some semblance of normalcy in terms of relationships. So yeah, the Kazoo platform sounds like it facilitates that a little bit, which is great. But you could also, use your chat rooms in informal ways as well.
Yeah, we've actually, two of the things that we started doing, one is we actually set up a channel for COVID-19 discussions. It was twofold. One, give a place for people to either learn or vent or whatever it is around that, but also not have that conversation enter into every other chat room where you're trying to conduct business. So acknowledge it's going to happen and give them a place and an avenue to do that. The other is our various departments setting up simple, what we call attendance chat rooms. Hey, I'm away from keyboard for 15 minutes. I'm out for lunch. Sure, all of these have different status message, but just a quick blurb or just saying, I'm back online and available. Simple communication that you're substituting for the fact that you didn't see them leave for lunch or come back from lunch. And those kinds of things are all helpful. So that's a great tip.
Mike, we usually kind of end on a sort of fun note, and you and I were chatting last week on the day that I believe it was the Thunderbirds were flying over Austin, and you have an aviation background. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and did you get to see the flyover?
Yes, I got to see the flyover, and I'm completely biased in the fact that I love that the Thunderbirds still fly the F-16. I served in the Air Force for 8 years, initially as an F-16 pilot, and then later in combat communications. So I was cheering like a 12-year-old boy at the top of my lungs as they flew over. As my neighbor said, "What are you yelling at? And what's all that noise?" And I said, "Yeah, it's the roaring sound of freedom flying overhead." And so it was. I'm glad that both the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds kind of did the tour around the country to show people that we are all in this together, and there's things like that are good symbols to rally around.
Yeah, I agree. It was really cool. Thanks for your service, and thanks for sharing that. We had the Blue Angels fly over in Chicago, and I did get to see that, and it was a really cool experience. Kirsten, CJ, did you guys get to see that?
Yeah, I was really lucky. I was able to see them as they went north and as they came back going south again. So I was,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Positioned perfectly for that one.
I did not. Unfortunately, as you guys know, I'm in Crystal Lake, 60 miles northwest of the city. So I didn't even get a chance to hear him. But let me just take the opportunity then to just say thank you for your service, Mike. And that's pretty cool what you did in a former life. And I'm sure you bring that same energy and innovation into your organization now. So exciting stuff.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Mike, thanks for joining us today. Our topic's been how technology can help improve engagement in the workplace. I think Mike's offered some great insights there. Mike, can you plug Kazoo anywhere people can go if they're looking for information on Kazoo or maybe looking to join the team?
Yeah, just go to our website, kazoohr.com, and you can either fire up the chat or just click on the thing for more info, and someone will be reaching out to you.
Awesome. CJ, partner and managing director, thanks for joining us. And Kirsten, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you have any topic suggestions, feel free to send them to news@fortegroup.com. That's FORTEGRP.com, or you can visit our website, which is fortegroup.com. Thanks for taking a look, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Mike.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Take care.